Om Shanti sister, how are you?
Om Shanti, brother. Nice, and you?
Yeah, very fine. Today we are going to discuss a very important topic, especially uh, for Christians and Muslims, because they believe God hates homosexuals. There are many stories in Bible against homosexuals. God wants them to be killed. He doesn't want them to enter churches. So I think even they practiced in some churches not to allow homosexuals inside. Um, but anyway, even Muslims they condemn homosexuals, and they also condemn transgenders. They don't want them to become transgenders. If they are born as a man, let them be man all the time. Uh, because I think it is mentioned in Quran like that. That God is against homosexuals. They change their gender because they are homosexuals. Uh, now, what's your thought? Is it uh, okay to be homosexual? Is it a sin to be homosexual? What do you think, sister?
When you said like
Mm,
Christians and Muslims, I remember one case when one from I think Muslim religion he was homosexual and he think by the religion that he have to be cured from that because it's thought that it is like a disease.
mm,
And what is my thought about that?
mm,
It is definitely a role for the soul to play the role of to be attracted to the same sex. Definitely, but it's I think it can be very difficult road for many because it make so many complications, emotional problems in them, in the in their family and everywhere,
yeah,
because it's not easy for everyone to accept that kind of choices or really like nature. They cannot accept that.
that's true. In any part
So
of the
for me,
world, it's frowned upon. Nobody accepts it. No society is ready to accept it, right? Especially their family.
some society some
Mm,
socialities are more open to that than on others.
okay.
Even I think in Germany, if you
Mm,
say a bad word to them, you
mm,
will be arrested because they are very protected. So
yeah.
depends actually. It's not that they are everywhere,
Mm,
that they don't respect them everywhere because in some countries there are even marriages for them, so they can
mm,
adopt a child. Depends where you live.
depends. But uh, but anyway, I think family won't accept it, even though the government accepts it, because most of the governments accept it, but not the family members, because
Yeah, still
yeah, that's where they start getting all the troubles from.
I think family also don't accept when you are vegetarian. So even in these countries, they don't accept you to be vegetarian. People don't
Really?
like anything that is different. Yeah,
Wow.
it's not easy for the family to accept that.
Oh.
So
Mm. It's
it's
but
like
that
society doesn't accept many
yeah.
things. But for the soul that is
Mm,
playing that role, it can also be some karmic account that they have to
yeah.
pay. So they have to play that role.
Mm,
And it can also be a lot of body conscious.
mm, yeah.
Maybe
Mm,
behind that
mm.
is a lot of body consciousness
That's
because you think you have you fight for your rights, you want everyone to accept your rights, you want to do it publicly.
yes.
But what we are speaking in Brahma Kumari school, we're speaking about soul consciousness. So whatever you want to do, you can do, but not everyone have to know about that and accept that. And body consciousness is definitely that you want to do it like in a public and to know to make everybody know about that. I don't know. It can become like obsession to be accepted from society. It's not easy to be accepted from society.
Yeah, that's very
Anyway,
difficult. That's very difficult. Here in India, they won't even give home for rent for homosexuals. Uh, it's more serious for if they are girls, if they are lesbians. Uh, so obviously they have to face. It's like they uh, detach them from their family bonding. That's it. They have to live separately. So that kind of treatment is expected here in India. But still, uh, they are there. But they have to undergo stress more than heterosexual couples because usually couples, that is men and women, when they come together, they have a lot of issues after marriage or during their relationship. So the same thing is faced by homosexuals also. In addition, they also have to face the problems from the society, which is huge burden for them. They even commit suicide, uh, especially if they belong to strict religious background, then the opposition will be greater. But from what I heard of from couple of my friends from both genders, they said it's very normal for them. They just say they are in a wrong body. That's it. It's not their fault. They're not attracted to the opposite sex at all, right from their young age. So how can you blame them? There is one sister here who actually advocates for lesbian. She's also a lesbian. The number one fault, there's a famous pastor in America whose main job is to go to the place of residence of homosexuals and shout that they are the sinners. So obviously they will get triggered and they will fight with them, and he makes that as a chance to spread Christianity. So he thinks as if he is doing good to them. So what he says is, see, God created men and women to give birth to a child. How can you homosexuals give birth to a child? How can you accomplish that duty? That's the duty of men and women. So since you cannot fulfill that duty of God, you are the sinner. So that's one point. That's the major point he says. So he says that women is a field, men has to sow his seed, so the progeny is prepared out of it. That I think it's mentioned in Bible like that. So many girls opposed to him. Uh, but still he is adamant in saying that in front of them. He can say it in the church, but he is going to their place using the loudspeaker. He is saying that he is famous in YouTube. So now this is the main accusation against homosexuals because they can't uh, reproduce on their own. So that's the problem. But for that, this
that's also
system,
for when
uh,
you are in celibacy, they say the same thing.
yeah. Now, the sister asked a genuine question. What is that? Oh, So you are saying men and women get together to give birth to a child. So they are not indulging in sex afterward? Are they not indulging in sex after giving birth to one or two child? Why are you
They
not
can have a
accusing them?
child. They can have a child. There is like artificial way to get a child. So
Yeah.
today,
Even
please science.
heterosexuals can't give birth nowadays. There are many infertility
That's not.
clinics.
I
Yeah.
think that is like not good reason and
Yeah.
not good argument for
Argument. Yeah.
anything. They
Yeah.
cannot have a child. That's very bad argument. But
Mm,
I understand people who needs like some explanations, some understanding on this planet, and then they are against everything that is different
mm,
because they like equality and togetherness, probably,
mm,
and they don't feel comfortable when someone is different, and especially when someone is allowed in that wanting to be accepted. Um, and we have to realize that there are so many souls that are basic, they don't really open up too much to anything. So of course, it's always, I think there is more people who actually accept them than those who don't accept them, but those who doesn't accept, they are always louder. So it
mm,
seems like they are very not accepted, but even here you can feel that they are very intelligent because they have to manage to play roles in everyday life and to maybe don't speak too much about their own private life. And so yeah, they are also here, at least in my country, they are very sticking up together and supporting each other. You can see them being powerful together here because they are supporting each other and they have more success than others because they are very like understanding to each other. They have like some groups and for the support and so many things these days.
wow. But homosexuals, I know of a brother who said he was very normal. He was attracted to girls. Uh, all of a sudden, while he was visiting a tourist spot, a guy was crossing him. He felt as if thousands of butterflies are flying in his heart. He never sensed it before. This happened all of a sudden. That's why we can't. Uh, he he was attracted only to girls till then, not to any guy before that. But when he crossed, he was disturbed so much. So he spoke with him, and luckily, even that guy was homosexual. So even he got attracted to him, but he was a married guy. At one point, uh, he blocked his number. They had sex, they had everything. Then, uh, in his mind, he feels that he is doing sin to his wife. So he blocked his number. He shouted not to call him back. So but he couldn't forget him. He's also a spiritual guy. He's also spiritual. At the same time, he's not homosexual. He's bisexual. He's also married. He says, I'm still getting attracted to girls. At the same time, I'm attracted to not all guys, to some guys. That's what he says. Likewise, there is another sister who was studying ninth standard, um, maybe ninth grade in your country, I think. So while she was studying, that is, while she was around 15 years of age, uh, she was uh, seeing the Facebook of the sister of her best friend. So in that account, she was seeing her face. That's it. All of a sudden, she feels so attracted towards her. She hasn't even spoken with her. She hasn't done anything with her, but she is so obsessed with her. That day, the day her friend announced that her sister is going to get married, she broke down in tears, and it's been more than 5 or 6 years, but still she's suffering from that. Can you believe that? And she's the Brahmakumari. Actually, she was not Brahmakumari. She came to Brahmakumari just to come out of this guilty feeling. So it is because of that she came here. Even now she says it's very difficult. I think it's impossible to come out of it. If somebody says they came out of it, they are just lying. Because she is very serious to come out of it. Because Brahmakumaris, the main thing is celibacy, right? So obviously she is making intense, serious effort, but still she says it's very difficult for her. And when I asked is she attracted to somebody else? She says, no, not normally, but one guy was flirting with him for a long time. Then she slightly had that attraction. Not as much as she does for that girl, but slightly. So she's saying we are born this way. It cannot be changed. Just like how you can't force homosex on heterosexuals, it is equally impossible for homosexuals to become heterosexual. That's what she says. So the point is, why should God hate homosexuals? Because in
I don't
Bible,
think.
you don't think he hates them. That's what you say. Yeah, that's the truth. But in Bible, in one story, God is about to destroy a town which is filled with homosexuals. So except for a family, uh, uh, the guy called Lot, except his family, everybody is a sinner in that town. Do you think it is possible?
I
Uh-huh.
never thought. Yeah, I
Mm.
heard such a stories, but
Lot.
I never thought. For example, for
Mm.
me, I don't even know who am
Mm.
I attracted to. For me, it's like
Mm.
I never. eh, How to say? We don't
Like,
know.
so in that, uh, actually, if you listen to any story of Bible or Quran that looks very awkward, that itself shows that it couldn't really have happened because it's impossible for a place filled with homosexuals except one family. So that itself is not possible. So now God wants to destroy that town. This Lot and his family members are God fearing. So God says, ask him to leave that place so that I can destroy that town. So he is living with his, but God says, while living, don't look at the town. So just go away. But his wife turns her back to see the town, then she becomes a stone, cement stone. So he leaves her, and he and his two daughters they go to the nearby hill. So this itself should say that this wouldn't have happened. How can a girl become a stone all of a sudden, right? And the next thing is they are living in a hill. He becomes old. There is no male around them, so they don't have kids. So they want to have kids, so they make their father drunk heavily. Then both sisters have sex with him when he is so intoxicated, and they give birth to child. And God permits this. God doesn't permit homosex, but God permits the daughters having sex with the father. Does it make any sense? Do you think this would
No,
have happened at all?
I never read that.
Yeah.
First time hear that story.
Likewise, in Bible and Quran, throughout the scriptures, it is mentioned prostitution is the biggest sin. Nonetheless, in the beginning of the Bible and Quran, they say Adam and Eve were the first men and women. So how come the next generation would have evolved if there is no sex between brothers and sisters? Their children are obviously brothers and sisters. There are no other men and women, right? So obviously they
But there
should.
is no sex at the beginning. There is like
That's okay. That's
in
Brahma
God's
Kumari's
name.
Gyan. But according to Bible and Quran Gyan, it is mentioned they're brothers and sisters. For that, when we ask Christian or Muslim, God permits it in the beginning. Now He doesn't permit because how else
Maybe.
can be
I have
the
a friend.
mm,
I have a friend, and
mm,
she was not homosexual.
mm,
She used to go out with the men,
mm,
but one man
mm.
beat her like, and after that she started going out with women, and she never came back to men.
Oh, she started hating men.
No
So
hating, but
mm,
she started having girlfriends, no more boyfriends anymore.
yeah, that's because of fear of guys. Okay, that could happen because now there is a famous moment called 4B, right? You would have heard of it. No dating, no sex, no relationship, no kids. That is 4B. B means no in South Korea. So women, they have started this organization or this movement where they take vow that they are not going to allow any man near them, which is good, right? I think the that should be followed even by men because in this world where everybody cheats, I think that's the only solution. Usually, the good people will become the victim of the bad people, irrespective of the gender. It happens in both genders. So 4B is essential now. Okay, we are skipping the topic. Okay, now about this story of Lot, God hates homosexuals. God permits daughters to have sex with father. So, can anybody justify this? You can find such stories in plenty in Bible. So maybe it's not there in Quran.
Yeah,
And
remember even kings,
mm,
they used to have like for the sake of holding the kingdom,
mm,
the family used to have like kids and sex and everything. So
mm,
you never know, maybe the kings were the one written the Bible. You never know who
mm,
interrupted in a moment. You
mm,
know, when there are some kings and they want to hold the kingdom for themselves, they
mm,
used to have like brothers and sisters. And
mm. Okay.
I don't know which queen, is it
Mm.
Cleopatra, that
Cleopatra.
like had yeah, two brothers
Oh,
like her husbands, but she
oh,
killed both of them.
oh, oh. Okay. But
Both of them died
yeah, but
suddenly.
yeah, but that's history. Bible is not history. It did not happen like that. Uh,
But it is connected with the one who were ruling. They said even reincarnation was one. There was one evil queen,
mm,
and her servants. They told her, "Don't do that. Uh, in the next life, you gonna be the servant, and you will feel how it is when someone act to you like that." And that was involved in Bible,
mm.
but she asked to erase that from the Bible because
Oh,
she was ruling in that time, and she didn't allow that to be in a Bible. So
yeah.
that's why I'm saying
Mm,
Bible is also the holy book, when it's written, it's also connected to those who were ruling in that time. So maybe that is also why it's that brothers and sisters and fathers, it was for the queens and kings normal to do that just for the sake of their kingdom
No,
being saved.
okay, I understand that. That's a point of view. But one thing is, it is considered holy mainly because it has spiritual secrets in it, which is not evident just by reading it. Unless you get the direct knowledge of God through Brahma Kumaris, it is impossible to reveal the secret in that particular, in any story. So now, uh, in general, who will have sex? Uh, that is, who will have sex with each other? Which
Brothers and
relationship?
sisters,
No. Which relationship will have sex with each other?
husband and wife.
Husband and wife, right? But here, she is having uh, sex with her own father. But uh, that father is very God fearing. Obviously, she would have brought up his daughters as God fearing as well. So, obviously, she wouldn't do that. But what it actually implies is she is not only considering his father to be the father, but also her husband, which refers to God, not to human. So that's the actual secret. Here we are considering God to be our father and also as our husband, right? He's the bridegroom. We are the brides. But when you see the story, it's very nasty. But what they want to imply is just this one.
Yeah, but nobody
Uh,
will understand that way.
we'll
So
understand that unless they get this knowledge. And now, coming to homosexuals. Will God hate homosexuals? Is it possible for the whole town to be homosexual? It's impossible. How can it be possible? Right? How is it possible for a town to be homosexual?
if there is no, for example, if there is only men and no women
Yeah,
in that
that is different. They will go to a separate place that, like in America, that pastor used to go to their place of residence and shout. They have shifted to that place. They make that place for them. But this is not like that. It's a town. People become sinners like that. So it's impossible for everyone to be a homosexual unless there are only men or only women, right? So
in
that's
prison,
uh,
in prison,
in
for
prison.
example. So
Maybe, yeah. But here, the reason they have said uh, homosex is a sin, you have
I know
got the point.
why.
You got the
I know
point.
why.
Wow. Tell
Yes,
it,
I got the point.
tell it, tell it.
Maybe
Huh?
because
Hmm.
homosexual is connected to a body consciousness. So you
Hmm.
want to have sex with a partner,
Hmm.
but without having children. But the point in religion before was to have sex only to have a child
Child.
and no other reason to have sex.
Yes.
So if you are homosexual and you want to have sex with someone and you don't have a child, you're doing that only for pleasure. Even man and a woman should not have sex like in a real religion, in a real
Yes.
way,
Yeah.
how religion was presented before. Only
Mhm.
to have a child, they should have sex, and that's it.
Yeah, even in another Bible story, it is mentioned that when a husband dies, his brother is supposed to marry the widow. That is his elder brother's wife, which sounds so awkward, right? Can you imagine that one's own brother is going to marry the his elder brother's wife, and if he dies, his next brother is supposed to marry him, marry her. And the reason they justify is because uh, she needs to give rise to the future generation, which sounds justifiable because if she's going to get married to somebody else, they can't have a baby, right? You get my point? But anyway, they can marry somebody, some girl, and make them give rise to the future generation. But still, it's not justifiable. I'm sorry. But anyway, in that story, what happens is he marries his elder brother's wife after his death. But at the time of having sex, he's not, he's actually leaving his sperm outside instead of having intercourse. It's like masturbating. So God gets angry for not making his brother's wife pregnant. Do you think it makes any sense? Do you think God will ever get angry for this?
That's what I said. The only reason why to have sex is to have a child. So maybe they were amplifying on that.
That's the point. That's the point. Here he's doing it for pleasure. It doesn't mean he is spilling out the sperm outside. It means he is having sex for pleasure, not for the child. So that's the point they want to make. So they want to make that sex is a sin. That's the thing implied in that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one reason. And here, okay, thanks to bring to this direction, but I was trying to take it in another direction, which is homosexuals means, yeah, actually, this is the, yeah, this is also true. And another thing is, homosexual means having sex between same genders, whether it's lesbian or homosexual. So God says, I'm your bridegroom, you are all my brides, no matter whether you are a male or female by body. I'm just seeing this soul, which shines like a tiny star in between the eyebrows. So you are all my brides, which means you are all girls for me. Only when it comes to uh, having a relationship with him as a bridegroom. But if you consider him as the father, then you are all my male child. Because previous, previously in all traditions, it is common that only male child inherit father's property, right? Only recently they speak about equality between men and women. So now it's difficult to understand. But for those who know about the previous generation, it is common only male inherit the property. Female child will be married to another guy. He will inherit that guy's property, husband's property. That's it. So that's not unjustifiable. That's also justifiable. But here God says, "You are all my child. You are all my male child." So all souls are brothers, no sisters, because only body can be male and female. But when it comes to a soul, they are all male. So we should look at each other as souls and not as a body. Soul shines like a tiny star in between the eyebrows. So God says your focus should be in between the eyebrows and not elsewhere, even in the face. So when you are so focused on the soul, you won't get attracted to them once you reach that stage, once it becomes normal for you to focus on the soul. So that's the basic teaching of Brahma Kumaris. God says, we souls resided along with God in the soul world before taking birth in earth. In the beginning, it was heaven 5,000 years back. It continues to be heaven for the first 2,500 years, mainly because We were absolutely soul conscious. We considered each other as souls. So, although they are very beautiful, they were not attracted to each other. But still, they get married. They know they are girl. They can differentiate. Actually, it's tough to differentiate because even men, they will have no beard or mustache. Even they will have long hair like girls. Even they have smooth skin like girls. Uh, it's very difficult to differentiate between them. It's like uh, Japanese, some beautiful Japanese men. Japanese, they have haircut like male, so it's very different and difficult to differentiate between them, right? So, like just like that, in even in heaven, both would look beautiful. Nowadays, they use the word beautiful only for girls, but in heaven, both would be beautiful, but they will not be attracted to each other. But they will get married because only girls have the uterus, so only they can give birth, but they will give birth without sex because they don't know what sex is. So they are not even disturbed slightly by the presence of opposite sex. So that's mainly because they are soul conscious. So that's the reason the childbirth happens because of the power of thought, because the couple want to have a baby, not because they have sex. They don't even lust each other. The moment they have the thought of having a baby, the wife gets pregnant. That's how it was in the beginning. That's the reason the residents of heaven are worshipped as deities by Hindus till date. That's the reason Hindus have multiple gods, but they are not gods. They are deities created by God. When I will come to it later. So, what happened to the deities? They are also humans like us. Actually, we were them in the beginning. After taking several rebirths, after completing the first 2500 years, we slowly become body conscious. That's when we start developing lust, anger, greed, attachment, and ego and sensual pleasures. Because in heaven, we were constantly blissful. Because the true nature of soul itself is blissful and peacefulness. Because we can no longer concentrate on this soul after it loses its power for the first 2500 years, we seek pleasure from outside. That's when our soul gets drained of its power very fast, especially when they get addicted to sex. That's why God says lust is the greatest enemy. All religions preach this, but indirectly. For example, Jesus Christ says, if you see a woman with lust, you have already committed prostitution with her. He doesn't say if you lust a girl who is not your wife. People have added that according to their convenience. But he means any girl, including their wife. Actually, he means their wife because 2000 years before, that's when sex starts to creep in. So that's why he is saying that's a sin. So that's the thing preached by every religion. Even in Quran, it's mentioned in heaven, you will be blessed with pure wives, which means our wives in Kali, that is now, they are prostitutes. Because what you are doing with your wife is nothing but prostitution. They were pure. If you want to have them as your wife, then you should also be pure. Only then you will be able to have the pure wife, right? So now God says, now everybody is so immersed in these five vices: lust, anger, greed, attachment, and ego, especially lust. So lust between husband and wife is just a starting point. That happened after the first 2500 years when a man sees his wife casually. He again sees her and thinks she looks beautiful. That's the first lust. That's how it started. Now it has reached the point that we are discussing homosexuals and all sorts of abnormal sexual behavior. Actually, sex itself is abnormal. How can you call homosex as abnormal? Everything is abnormal because everything causes pain. In heaven, childbirth happens with the power of yoga, that is the power of thought. So, neither the child nor the mother suffer any sort of pain. That's how it was in heaven. It is mentioned even in Bible. Bible says after Adam and Eve get evicted from heaven, God cursed them to curse the girl to give birth to a child with the pain of labor, which means it was not the case before that, right? So, okay. Now, the reason we are seeing so much rape, homosexuals, child sexual abuse, it's just the outcome of sex between husband and wife. That's the starting point. It will eventually evolve into rape and other abnormal, illegal sexual behaviors that we see now. And that's the reason the world is getting destroyed. Because human mind is so corrupted that it disturbs not only the opposite sex but also the natural elements. That's why we are seeing severe earthquakes, cyclones, everything. Year by year, natural calamities increases because our the corruption level is also increasing. Now God says, of course, this world will be destroyed because people's mind are so corrupt. But don't worry, if you listen to my word and become soul conscious as you were in the beginning, I will create a new world for you in the same earth. So that's the reason it is going to get destroyed. It's just the renewal of the world. But you don't have to worry because the soul is not going to get destroyed. Regarding leaving this body, when death comes to you, you don't have to fear because God says it is only when you remain body conscious you will have the fear of death. When you become soul conscious, fully soul conscious, you will not have fear of anything, including death. So that's when the elements will come under your control. That's mentioned in Bible that Jesus Christ walked on the ocean. Jesus Christ made ocean waves to silence. So those things are possible when you are able to conquer lust, when you are able to have full control over your senses. Because after all, this is also made up of five elements. If you have full control over these five elements will also be under your control. For that, God says, you have to first consider yourself to be the soul. Then you have to remember me, the supreme soul, who is called God Shiva by Hinduism, Allah by Muslims, Heavenly Godfather by Christians. God is just one, not separate God for separate religions. God is just one. We have to remember Him as a point of light, like a tiny star in the golden red colored sky, because this is the golden red colored light world called the soul world. So, the more you remember Him as a point of light, by understanding Him through His words, through his teachings that is given through Brahma Kumaris in the form of Murli. You can find Murli in all languages in uh, several YouTube videos, and you can Google it yourself. It is there in many websites. It's absolutely free of cost. Brahma Kumaris Rajyog meditation centers. It's available across the globe. If not, you can always Google it to find the nearest one, or you can read it online. All facilities are there at your feet. All you have to do is to consider yourself to be the soul and to remember God as the point of light. And God says, in addition, you have to see each other as souls, as your soul brother, not soul sister, because even that deceives you. Because here, now, at this point of time, we see rape between brothers and sisters. Sometimes it's even out of consensual sex between brothers and sisters. The world is so corrupt. So that's why God says, don't even consider them to be brothers and sisters, just consider them to be the brothers, soul brothers. Make sure your focus is just in between the eyebrows. I know it's difficult in the beginning, but by constant effort and over the course of time, it is possible. So now God says you have to conquer lust. He doesn't say you have to conquer homosexualism or lesbianism. He just says conquer sex. That's it. Conquer lust. So,
Yes.
so lust uh, does not mean only the sexual intercourse, but also the attraction towards each other. Even that's lust. That's what Jesus says. So even that should stop. So God says your eyes are the biggest enemy. That will cheat. Keep it under your control. Keep it, make it focused in between the eyebrows and watch only the soul. So practice it with your family members in the beginning. Then you can, it's going to be easy to practice with others, but you have to remember God all the time, as much as possible. Only then your soul will receive power to conquer body consciousness, to come out of body consciousness and to be in the state of soul consciousness. So, if you are seeing each other as brother, for example, if you consider yourself a married couple, so now after getting this knowledge, after becoming a Brahma Kumari, the reason you are called Brahma Kumari is because it's a Hindi word. Brahma Kumari means son or daughter of Brahma, because God gives this knowledge through an old man's body. That old man was named Brahma by God. This old man is called Adam in Bible and Quran. So that's the first
Can I say
creation.
something?
Yes, please.
I had realization while you were speaking.
Okay.
So we can say what is the cure for the world now?
Yes.
Celibacy.
Celibacy.
Because the world is so corrupted, and the cure for the homosexuals, for all those sexual things happening, is
Yeah.
only now celibacy.
Celibacy.
It means there's so many pain in the sexual, how to say, orientation and needs,
Everything.
because
Everything.
people
Yeah.
think that they need that. Nobody told them that they can live without that.
Yeah.
So there is a cure for everything. That is a cure.
Yeah.
So
And
it means it will.
yeah. And before that, I'd like to add the reason they say God hates homosex is because God hates his children to have sex with anybody, because he wants his children to see each other as
Not
brother.
just hate. I cannot say God hates. It's kind of rush, but God, God's role now is to tell us what was we doing wrong
Yeah.
all
What's
this half
the
of the cycle.
what's
It
the
doesn't
reason we
mean that
lost the
he
kingdom of
hates,
heaven?
but of course he
Hmm.
is not happy because we are unhappy in all of that. We
That's the
become
thing.
unhappy.
Yeah. Mainly because of lust.
So that's the cure.
Yeah. And the reason it is mentioned that he hates homosex is because uh, we are brothers. So uh, if I and my wife takes become Brahmakumaris, then we are brothers. I shouldn't see her as a girl anymore. If I have sex with her, it means I'm having homosex, right? Because that's brother. More than homosex, it's with one brother. Because everybody is a son of God, not only Jesus Christ, right? Everybody is a son of God. when it comes to soul. In terms of soul, everybody is a son of God. So the reason they say homosex is a sin is because after taking this knowledge, so far whatever happened, it's the past. Put it behind you. But now, after receiving this knowledge, if you conquer lust, God will be so happy with you. He'll be so pleased with you. And you know what He will bless you in return? The kingdom of heaven. Do you know how it would be? It would be filled with palaces of gold. The houses will be built out of golden bricks. Just think how cheap gold would be back then. That's going to come again. And we'll be filled with wealth and health to enjoy it. And our lifespan will be approximately 150 years. We will not die before that. So, no disease. It's disease free world, war free world, and pollution free world, and worry free world. Everything you listen, you see is going to give you nothing but happiness. That's the land of happiness. Now we are living in the land of sorrow. In order to get rid of, in order to protect ourselves from taking rebirth in hell, God says, don't have attachment towards anything. The number one enemy that makes you to attach to others is lust. That's the reason He asks us to give up lust. So that's the main thing. So if as I mentioned, that particular SPN advocate sister said, if you say what we are doing is a sin, then what you are doing after childbirth is also a sin. If you advocate that childbirth is the main reason for men and women to get married, then you should stop having sex after that. If you can't control that, you have no right over us, which is true, right? That's the thing. Likewise, we can't even condemn rapist because you can't control sex. See, yeah, one girl was raped. Just take for instance, she was raped and brutally murdered, gang raped and brutally murdered. Do you think her parents would stop having sex after that? They would still go on with sex. They will. Then how can they condemn the rapist when they are doing it themselves?
I will not say nothing about that.
Yeah,
Rape is even worse because
yeah, that's worse. But that's the extreme form of sex. That's it. It is sex. It is nothing but sex. So if you can't have control over yourself, you can't blame others, right? If you God says if you steal $1, if you steal $1 billion, there's no difference. It's still stealing, right?
but there is a different sentence for $1 and $1,000,000.
But anyway, he is a thief, right? Likewise, if you have sex with your wife or with somebody else,
I
that's
think it's
still
not the same, but okay.
but okay. Okay, that's what God says. Because that's the only way to make this society corruption free. Because that
Yeah.
corruption free world is going to come. That's the reason God says give up sex. And the reason for the sexual addiction is body consciousness. So become soul conscious. And for that, you need to remember God as much as possible so that your soul receives power to stay in that soul conscious state. But it needs effort, long time, but you can do it. So that's the reason in Bible and Quran it's mentioned homosex is sin, but what they actually mean is sex is sin. Will that
Yes.
pastor dare to say this out loud now after knowing this
I think
secret?
rather we made the point, so
Yes.
we
Okay,
can
let's
finish
wrap it. Okay, Om Shanti, brothers and sisters. Thanks for
all
watching. Please pass
uh,
it on to other brothers and sisters. In case you don't understand it, at least they can understand it. Who knows? Because only one in billion will understand the word of God. Because very few
yes.
enter heaven, as mentioned in Bible and Quran. Not everybody can enter heaven. Those who were in heaven in the beginning, only they, after taking several rebirths, will be attracted towards this knowledge and get back to heaven again. So obviously, if you have spent 55 minutes in watching this video, you must be a deity. Don't underestimate yourself, or else you wouldn't have this much passion and understanding. Even though you don't like this idea now, just the fact that you had this much patience reveals that you are a deity soul because you are brainwashed so much by this society and science. It takes some time to realize. That's it. Don't give up. Om Shanti, my dear brothers and sisters. Thank you so much for tuning into it. Om Shanti, sister.